Hi folks, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at a knife from Germany. Germany's got a long history of knife making, and I've actually got some German heritage from way back in the 16th century. And the knife we're looking at is actually a military knife that there are all kinds of, especially around the World War II time. And, the years after, and I don't know how many years before, that this kind of knife was a very popular knife for navies of all kinds of militaries around the world. There are British versions of these, arguably the greatest navy around World War II. Well, not arguably, but they were, especially at the start of World War II. The U.S. Navy got really built up during World War II and has a formidable Navy these days. But I'm not going to get into that. What we're looking at is a classic World War II era knife. New old stock. At least I think it's new old stock. I don't know if these are still being made. They probably are. I'm not sure, but I think this one's new old stock. It's got the word BUND on it, which is the German word for army, or sort of the military kind of word. And this is a BW Bordmesser. My pronunciation is probably way off. It's a knife that's got a slip joint blade and a locking marlin spike. So of course this is great for rope rigging to undo knots, basically. Very useful for that kind of task. And it's got this lever here to unlock the lock, so you can close it. There, it's locked again. And so you push that up and you can unlock the blade, put that back. And the slip joint is kind of tricky because you can easily dull your knife if you forget to pull this lever back before you close it, and then you put the lever back again. It's got a hook on it here. Oh, why is my brain drawing a blank on the official name for this kind of loop? Doesn't really matter. Well, it matters, but we'll keep on going. This was given to me by a viewer like you. I went and looked for the emails, and I'm drawing a blank on who sent me this. A viewer sent me this before I got sick, before I got really sick. When I look back, the illness that I'm fighting right now started probably about 18 months ago, and just very slowly got worse until it really sent me for a loop. But I am getting better, as I've said in other videos. And this was sent to me at the end of summer this year, and please email me again so I can give you credit for sending me this. If you want to send me anything, email me at canadiancuttingedge@gmail.com, and I will review it if it is in new or very close to new, brand new condition, because that's the only way that it's fair to the manufacturer. If I'm reviewing a used item, it's not really fair to them in case something is wrong with the knife, but it wasn't the manufacturer's fault and stuff. So, but you can send me anything you want. But if you want me to do a review of it, it just has to be a new or very close to new condition. So let's get on with the video. Stick around. It's coming to you right now. So there's the information about it. And yes, it's got German information. The handle's plastic. The blade's 420 stainless steel. And there's the company that made it. Sturmhandels, Germany, Deutschland. And there's a picture of the knife. You can also look up BW Bordmesser, and you can find it that way. You won't find it on the miltech.de website, though. I tried, and it's just not listed there. And so here's the cover: Miltech Tactical and Outdoor Products. And that's pretty much all the information on the package. So what do we have? We've got, this steel marlin spike. There's no claim that this is stainless steel. And, it's not sharpened to a point because it's for undoing knots. It's a good graduated thickness here, and, it locks solid using this mechanism here. And as I showed before, you pull this up and the lever releases and makes that free to turn. You can see the brass liners in here. And so it's just the brass on the steel pinned together, so it's designed not to come apart at home. You don't take it apart. You could grind those down and then replace them if you wanted to, but there's absolutely no reason to do that on a new one here. And so, steel back in here, and that's how, the spike works. I'm not going to show you undoing knots and stuff. I don't have a lot of knot skills. And here's the blade. The blade is a full flat grind. Like I said, 420 stainless steel. Rockwell hardness, 55, maybe 56. There's the nail nick line in there. It's actually even got a little sharpener's choil. And let's get a close-up of this blade. So there you go. Let's put my hand behind it so that it has something to focus on. So there's the edge. It's a fairly thick chunk of steel, even just behind the grind. I'll give you all the measurements later. Drop point, not an awful lot of belly here, but it's thickest up here. It's a decent sized blade. You fold over this lever when you're using the knife, and it actually helps, get a good grip on here. I like to fold that back so my thumb's got something to push against right here, and it's actually a pretty good grip. You can use this knife fairly safely. The slip joint's not a very strong slip joint. Doesn't take an awful lot of pressure to start to close it. But as I said, slip joints are, I've said many times, slip joints are very safe once you learn how to use them. Because you just make sure that there's pressure on the blade that way, that you're putting pressure on the cutting edge and not putting pressure on the spine. And if you learn how to use a slip joint well, then a fixed blade, you'll always be safe with one of those too, or a locking knife. It's just a good habit to never put pressure on the spine of a blade, unless you're batoning with, a nice big chunky fixed blade or something. I don't like batoning with folding knives ever. Yeah, so that's the blade. Let's do some of the specs here. And I'm just going to quickly go over, the specifications on this knife. We've got a weight of 135 grams, 4 3/4 ounces. The factory edge here, it scored a 280 for the best. 200 is sharp. The bigger the number, the less sharp the edge is. So it's not super sharp from the factory. The cutting edge length, 7.32 centimeters, 2.89 inches. Blade length, tip to the handle here, 8.18 centimeters, 3.22 inches. The blade thickness, so the steel here is 3.7 millimeters, 0.144 inches, so over 1/8 of an inch thick. So it's a big chunky piece of steel. The blade depth, it's actually biggest right here, 1.7 centimeters, 0.67 of an inch. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, 0.92 millimeters, that's 0.036 of an inch, quite thick behind the grind. And it's designed that way as a military knife to be very robust and strong. And being 420, it's a steel that's pretty easy to sharpen by hand, when you're out in, doing military stuff. The grind angle, I forgot to write it down. So I'll put the grind angles on the screen right here. The handle length, 10.9 centimeters, 4.3 inches. Grip area, I'm going to call it the same. Handle thickness, 1.39 centimeters, 0.546 inches, so basically just over half an inch thick. The handle depth, and I measured it here. This handle depth is what this measurement is, 2 centimeters, 0.79 of an inch. And when everything's closed up, make sure I keep that out of the way, then the handle depth is 4.1 centimeters, 1.6 inches. And when the blade's deployed, that is 19 centimeters. I forgot to put the inches on there, so let's do it this way. It's just right at 7.5 inches long. So that's it. How much does this thing cost? Well, you can get this on Amazon.com for $22.48. They've got some other brands because there's a number of companies that made these knives. This one is a TSR blade. So the TSR company in Germany is now a metal recycler. So I don't know if the metal recyclers still make these blades or not, but you can find these same knives with other labels on here. It says TSR Rostfrei, which means stainless steel, and it's 420 stainless steel. I couldn't find this knife in Canada. If you know where this knife is available in Canada, let me know. That Amazon store doesn't ship to Canada, so on Germany's Amazon site, 13.22 euros, and I didn't find this on Britain's site either. Or the UK's site, if you're from the United Kingdom, you'd probably want to get the British versions of this same kind of knife because all of the navies of the world issued this kind of knife to their sailors back then. And hey, if you're in a navy recently of any country, let me know if you've got a knife like this that got issued to you. I'd be interested to know. Other companies have made knives like this. Here's some pictures of some other companies around the world, just a handful that have made this style knife. So what do you think of that? The Marlin spike, great for knots, and a slip joint blade. I don't know if some of those knives that you saw in those pictures have a locking blade or not. I would have thought a locking blade would be, a wise thing to have, especially in a military setting, because, when you're using a knife, you really don't want that risk of it being able to close on you. And so I wonder about that. And I wonder why the spring tension here isn't higher. It doesn't take much pressure at all, to push that over. I just don't know. It's a fairly compact, see, there you go, I did it. I keep doing that, and that's going to damage that spot on the edge every time. That's one of the, I call it a con, but, this is an old World War II design. Don't know who designed it, but, it's a classic older design. Like I said, 420, easy to sharpen. That's a pro. The fact that they put a sharpener's choil on it, that's a nice little pro, because otherwise you're sharpening it to the end and then you've got a transition spot that often gets ugly, but not a big deal. That's good. The cons, I wish it had a locking blade. That'd be nice. And this con right here, I don't like that I have to always move that out of the way. I'm sure there's a way to design that so you don't have to do that, or there's something else they could have done. I don't know. I'm not a knife designer, and certainly haven't designed knives for the Navy, so I just don't know. Plastic on the handle, this black plastic. I like that it's got brass. That's a good, or bronze. I'm not sure exactly which metal that is. It's got a good look to it. It's a cool knife. And it's great for knots. My son, my oldest son, he married a girl who was into sailing before he met her, and still is. And she's got this small 2 or 3 person sailboat. And so I think I'm going to give this to my son and daughter-in-law, and they'll put it in their boat, just so it's handy for when they need it. Maybe tie on a little floating piece of foam of some sort, or something that's got a little bit of cordage on it, the kind that you can buy for putting onto your cameras and things. Waterproof cameras have, put these floaties just so that they don't lose it or something. I think that's kind of cool. Hopefully the person who gave it to me doesn't mind if I actually put this knife to some use by giving it away to my son and daughter-in-law. So there you go. Here's this BUND knife. Again, that means army or military. And this is a German built, so it's solid, it's strong, it's made well. It just isn't a modern knife. It doesn't have modern kind of requirements to it. It's just a nice little Navy style knife. Often these are called rigger knives, sailor knives, and they do also come with a third option. Sometimes the third option is like a can opener. So there's a number of different ways to get these. I'm not really into collecting this specific style of knife, but I'm glad I got a chance to grab this or get a good look at this and have one in my hands and play with it and use it for a few weeks. for a few months actually now. So thank you very much for sending this to me. I appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. And thank you for liking, viewing, sharing, commenting, subscribing. I read all the comments. I try to reply to comments, but with my health issues, I often don't have the time to sit around and type out answers. But hopefully I'll get back to commenting, replying to every comment sometime early next year. So have a good one, guys. And remember, always, hey, guys and gals, I know there's a lot of women that watch this channel, so thank you so much. And even young people, thanks. Remember, cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.